Diaz. It's a great morning. I'm so excited to continue reading. So in these next chapters, we'll learn about Judah, and then we'll get back into the story of Joseph. And so I'm excited. This is also probably one of my favorite books in the Bible, just because how Joseph um, went through everything he went through and like persevered and just had endurance and had faith through God like throughout this whole story. And so I love it. But yeah, so today we're reading Genesis 38, 39, and 40. So let's get started. Genesis 38. About that time, Judah left his brothers and went to stay with a man named Hera from the town of Adullam. Judah met a Canaanite girl there and married her. The girl's father was named Shaw. The Canaanite girl gave birth to a son and named him Ir. Later, she gave birth to another son and named him Onan. Then had another son named Shelah. Judah lived in Kizib when his third son was born. Judah chose a woman named Tamar to be the wife of his first son Ir. But Ir did many bad things. The Lord was not happy with him, so the Lord killed him. Then Judah said to Ir's brother Onan, "Go and sleep with your dead brother's wife. Become like a husband to her. If children are born, they will belong to your brother Ir." Onan knew that the children from this union would not belong to him. He had sexual relations with Tamar, but he did not allow himself to stay inside her. This made the Lord angry, so he killed Onan also. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, "Go back to your father's house. Stay there and don't marry until my young son Shelah grows up." Judah was afraid that Shelah would also be killed like his brothers. So Tamar went back to her father's home. Later, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shaul, died. After Judah's time of sadness, he went to Timnah with his friend Herer from Adullam. Judah went to Timnah to have the wool cut from his sheep. Tamar learned that Judah, her father-in-law, was going to Timnah to cut the wool from his sheep. Tamar also wore clothes that showed that she was a widow. So she put on some different clothes and covered her face with a veil. Then she sat down near the road going to Eniam, a town near Timnah. Tamar knew that Judah's younger son Shelah was now grown up, but Judah would not make plans for her to marry him. Judah traveled on that road and saw her, but he thought that she was a prostitute. Her face was covered with a veil like a prostitute. So he went to her and said, "Let me have sex with you." Judah did not know that she was Tamar, his daughter-in-law. She said, "How much will you give me?" Judah answered, "I will send you a young goat from my flock." She answered, "I agree to that. But first you must give me something to keep until you send me a goat." Judah asked, "What do you want me to give you as proof that I will send you a goat?" Tamar answered, "Give me your seal and its string and your walking stick." Judah gave these things to her. Then Judah and Tamar had sexual relations, and she became pregnant. Then Tamar went home, took off her veil that covered her face, and again put on special clothes that showed she was a widow. Later, Judah sent his friend Herer to Eniam to give the prostitute the goat he promised. Judah also told to get Herer to get the special seal and the walking stick from her, but Herer could not find her. He asked some of the men at the town of Eniam, "Where is the prostitute who was here by the road?" The men answered, There's never been a prostitute here." So Judah's friend went back to Judah and said, "I could not find the woman. The men who live in that place said that there was never a prostitute there." So Judah said, "Let her keep the things. I don't want people to laugh at us. I tried to give her the goat, but we could not find her. That is enough. Tamar is pregnant." About 3 months later, someone told Judah, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar sinned like a prostitute, and now she is pregnant." Then Judah said, "Take her out and burn her." The men went to Tamar to kill her, but she sent a message to her father-in-law that said, "The man who made me pregnant is the man who owns these things. Look at them. Whose are they? Whose special seal and string is this? Whose walking stick is this? Judah recognized these things and said, She is right. I was wrong. I did not give her my son Shelah like I promised. And Judah did not sleep with her again. The time came for Tamar to give birth. She was going to have twins. While she was giving birth, one baby put his hand out. The nurse tied a red string on the hand and said, This baby was born first. But that baby pulled his hand back in, so the other baby was born first. So the nurse said, You were able to break out first. So they named him Perez. After this, the other baby was born. This was the baby with the red string on his hand. They named him Zerah. Genesis 29. Joseph is sold to Potiphar in Egypt. The traders who bought Joseph took him down to Egypt. They sold him to the captain of Pharaoh's guard, Potiphar. The Lord helped Joseph become a successful man. Joseph lived in the house of his master, Potiphar, the Egyptian. Potiphar saw that the Lord was with Joseph and that the Lord helped Joseph be successful in everything he did. So Potiphar was very happy with Joseph. He allowed Joseph to work for him and to help him rule the house. Joseph was the ruler over everything Potiphar owned. After Joseph made the ruler over the house, the Lord blessed the house and everything that Potiphar owned. The Lord also blessed everything that grew in Potiphar's fields. The Lord did this because of Joseph. So Potiphar allowed Joseph to take responsibility for everything in the house. Potiphar didn't have to worry about anything except deciding what to eat. Joseph refuses Potiphar's wife. Joseph was a very handsome, good-looking man. After some time, the wife of Joseph's master began to pay special attention to him. One day she said to him, Sleep with me. But Joseph refused. He said, My master trusts me with everything in his house. He has given me responsibility for everything here. My master has made me almost equal to him in his house. I cannot sleep with his wife. That is wrong. It is a sin against God. The woman talked with Joseph every day, but he refused to sleep with her. One day Joseph went into the house to do his work. He was the only man in the house at the time. His master's wife grabbed his coat and said to him, Come to bed with me. But Joseph ran out the house so fast that he left his coat in her hand. The woman saw that Joseph had left his coat in her hand and had run out the house. She called to the men outside and said, Look, this Hebrew slave was brought here to make fun of us. He came in and tried to attack me, but I screamed. My scream scared him and he ran away, but he left his coat with me. Then she kept his coat until her husband, Joseph's master, came home. She told her husband the same story. She said, This Hebrew slave you brought here tried to attack me. But when he came near me, I screamed. He ran away, but he left his coat. Joseph's master listened to what his wife said, and he became very angry. So Potiphar put Joseph into the prison where the king's enemies were held, and that is where Joseph remained. Joseph in prison. The Lord was with Joseph and continued to show his kindness to him. So the commander of the prison guards began to like Joseph. The commander of the guards put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. Joseph was their leader, but he still did the same work they did. The commander of the guards trusted Joseph with everything that was in the prison. This happened because the Lord was with Joseph. The Lord helped Joseph be successful in everything he did. Genesis 40. Joseph explains two dreams. Later, two of Pharaoh's servants did something wrong to Pharaoh. These servants were the baker and the man who served wine to Pharaoh. Pharaoh became angry with his baker and wine server, so he put them in the same prison as Joseph. Potiphar, the commander of Pharaoh's guards, was in charge of this prison. The commander put the two prisoners under Joseph's care. The two men continued to stay in the prison for some time. One night, both of the prisoners had a dream. The baker and the wine server each had his own dream, and each dream had its own meaning. Joseph went to them the next morning and saw that the two men were worried. He asked them, Why do you look so worried today? The two men answered, We both had dreams last night, but we don't understand what we dreamed. There is no one to explain the dreams to us. Joseph said to them, God is the only one who can understand and explain dreams. So I beg you, tell me your dreams. The wine server's dream. So the wine server told Joseph his dream. The server said, I dreamed I saw a vine. On the vine there was three branches. I watched the branches grow flowers and then become grapes. I was holding Pharaoh's cup, so I took the grapes and squeezed the juice into the cup. Then I gave the cup to Pharaoh. Then Joseph said, I will explain the dream to you. The three branches mean 3 days. Before the end of the 3 days, Pharaoh will forgive you and allow you to go back to work. You will do the same work for Pharaoh as you did before. But when you are free, remember me. Be good to me and help me. Tell Pharaoh about me so that I can get out of this prison. I was kidnapped and taken from the land of my people, the Hebrews. I have done nothing wrong. I should not be in prison. The baker's dream. The baker saw that the other servant's dream was good. So he said to Joseph, I also had a dream. I dreamed that there were 3 baskets of bread on my head. In the top basket, there were all kinds of bread for food for the king, baked food for the king. But birds were eating this food. Joseph answered, I will tell you what this dream means. The 3 baskets means 3 days. Before the end of the 3 days, the king will take you out of his prison and cut off your head. He will hang your body on a pole, and the birds will eat it. Joseph is forgotten. 3 days later, it was Pharaoh's birthday. He gave a party for all his servants. At the party, Pharaoh allowed the wine server and the baker to leave the prison. He freed the wine server and gave him his job back. And once the wine server put a cup of wine in Pharaoh's hand, and once again the wine server put a cup of wine in Pharaoh's hand. But Pharaoh hung or hanged the baker, and everything happened the way Joseph said it would. But the wine server did not remember to help Joseph. He said nothing about him to Pharaoh. The wine server forgot about Joseph. And that is Genesis, oh, was it 29, 39? Sorry, y'all. Yeah, that was Genesis 38, 39, and 40. So let's briefly talk about this. So we learn about Judah in the story of him, and with Judah and Tamar. So Judah um, married a Canaanite girl. He married a Canaanite girl, and then she gave birth to a son named Ir, and she also gave birth to a son named Onan. 3 sons, and also a son named Shelah. And so I think his wife had died. No, 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 no. So one of his sons had died because he did many bad things. Ir had did many bad things, um, and so the Lord was not happy with him, and he killed him. So Judah instructed his brother to go and sleep with his brother's wife, uh, and basically become like his husband, become like her husband, but and have children. But he knew that the children wouldn't belong to him, so he didn't stay inside of her. Meaning, you know what that means? He didn't he didn't nut in her. And so the Lord was angry about this, which is really interesting to think about. So he killed Onan, and then Judah told Tamar to just go back to her father's house and don't marry anybody until his other son grew up. Uh, but really, Judah was afraid that Sheila might get killed, so he really wasn't going to send him to Tamar. So she went back home, and then Judah's wife, she she ended up dying. And so, long story short, Tamar found out that his wife died. So remind you that Tamar is his daughter-in-law, basically. So she knew that Judah was headed to this town. So she went somewhere. She went to that town ahead of him and basically set herself up to look like a prostitute. So when Judah came across her, she had on like a veil, so he didn't know who she was. But he got a prostitute, had sexual relations with her, which was Tamar, his daughter-in-law, which is crazy. And he had sex with her, and she became pregnant, and it was with twins. And so basically, he told her that he was gonna give her one of his goats, and so she wanted him to promise that he'll actually send the goat. And so, in order to do that, she got his what they say that she got his seal with a string on it and his walking stick. So this was like kind of to like basically seal the promise. And so, okay, let's keep going. These things, and remind you, he had told her not to have sexual relations with anybody, right? So then later on, somebody had told, like 3 months later, someone told Judah that his daughter-in-law was pregnant and that she's seeing like a prostitute. And so he sent people off to go and kill her. But when they came to her, she told them that um, this is the guy that I, slept with, and like show it to Judah. And so they showed it to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I did the wrong thing." So the whole time he's trying to kill her, and he was the one that slept with her. This is crazy. So yeah, so he told her not. He told him not to kill her, and that he was wrong, basically. Um, and so, and then we move into the story of Joseph again. So Joseph was actually sold to Potiphar in Egypt, and this was like the highest commander under Pharaoh. So he was staying with him, and God had blessed him. I was just thinking about how even in the worst situation for Joseph, God still blessed him, and because Joseph was so faithful to God, the people around him was even blessed, and they didn't even have to believe, but it was just by Joseph's faith and by him being connected to him, he was blessed as well. So that's interesting to see, and I feel like that can relate to our lives as well. So so Joseph had been promoted and kind of basically put on the same level as his master, as Potiphar. Like he let him take over his house and kind of lead his house and do things like an assistant type of thing. But uh, he gave him like a lot of ownership over a lot of things. So then um, we learned that Joseph is actually very handsome and good looking. And so Potiphar's wife, his master, is actually trying to push up on him, trying to raise him up, and trying to get with him, trying to sleep with him. And so Joseph was very strong in his self control, very strong in self control. And I mean, he was a smart man. He like, I'm not gonna sleep with my master wife. Like, she tripping. So being a deceitful woman she trying to sleep with him, and he standing strong for days. And eventually, she tried to get way too close and grabs his coat as he's running out. He's doing what the Bible say to do to flee from sexual immorality. And he ran. She kept his coat, and because he left, she able to twist it on him and be like, he attacked me. So now Potiphar sends Joseph to jail in prison. But even in prison, he's still favored, and he's still um, well liked, and still blessed by God. Um, and so previously in the story, we know that Joseph can interpret dreams, and he has dreams, and it seems like his talented gift is surrounded around dreams. So Potiphar's baker and his wine server is sent to prison for whatever reason. Um, and they have dreams, and Joseph interprets those dreams. And man, I would have hated to be I think it was the baker. Yeah, I would have hated to be the baker because it was like the wine server's dream was like, yeah, you'll get out of jail and you'll be free again, and you'll be able to serve the wine to the to your master, to Potiphar again, and or Pharaoh, to Pharaoh again. And for the baker, it was just like, oh yeah, you're gonna get your head cut off and get hanged. Like I would have been like, what? I wouldn't have wanted to get out of jail if I would have heard that. But yeah, so Joseph interpreted their dreams, and everything happened just as he said. One of the things he told the wine server was to remember me, help me get out. Since I've helped you and I told you about your dream, like help me get out of here. Help me get out of here. And so once the wine server got out, he forgot about Joseph, and that's how the story. That's how the scripture ends. So I'm interested to see, you know, to keep reading, to keep getting deeper into this story because it's super interesting. And like I always say, it just seems like every single day we read scriptures, and it's just so messy, man. The Bible is just full of people that just did random things. It's like crazier than the wildest, messiest show you can watch on Zeus. But but yeah, I appreciate y'all for listening. I'll be back with another video. I'll see y'all in the next video. But feel free to tap in with me and go back and watch and read with me through from the beginning of Genesis. Like we took it all the way back to Genesis 1, and right, and now we on Genesis 40. So y'all have a blessed day. Y'all have a great day, and continue to um, be steadfast. Continue to hold on to that faith, that mustard seed of faith, and live your life how God wants you to. So I'll see y'all. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.